We are good. Hey, good morning from, let's see, what is that word? Deja vu? Is that the word? It seems like I have been here this week, and we were here this week, Wednesday. Yeah, just seems like it was Wednesday. We were at Circuit World in Blue Ridge, and we're back this morning at Circuit World in Blue Ridge for our regular Friday morning show on the road. Now, we turned the setup around to put the camera the other way because last week the sun, and we're happy to see the sun coming through the window. I know you are this morning, and you're not driving to work in downpour raining. So the sun comes in this glass, so we had a lot of shadow. So, JR, are you back there?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm concerned that JR is behind me this way, but we'll go with it anyway. I'm your host, BKP. Good morning from beautiful downtown Blue Ridge, Georgia, North Georgia here, Circuit World Blue Ridge. I think we're going to start a new segment, Amanda, throughout the week, because the news this week, wow, I call it the spin cycle. That's it. I've already sent my attorney a note. You know, O'Reilly had the no spin zone. Okay, thank you, Bill. But I'm going to start a segment called the spin cycle. Oh, is that on a washing machine also? I don't know how they work. Do they have a spin cycle on the washing machine? Amanda, are you here today or not? Well, I mean, could you answer me when I ask you a question?
What did you say?
There you go. Yes. I hope you're paying attention out there. Amanda's not.
I'm just working away over here.
The spin cycle of news we've been through. We have an Oakland mayor that told the bad guys the police are on the way. I mean, right? We have an Oakland mayor that tipped off the bad guys, right? Said, hey, the police are on the way. You might want to get out of town or hide, or when they knock on the door, say nobody's home. We've had that this week. In Georgia, Amanda sent me a note this morning. In Georgia, we've had this week, am I correct, 13 threats, school threats. What do we have, Amanda?
We have in the areas in the last 13 days, we've had the counties with the threats are Gilmer, Pickens, Cherokee, Bartow, Fulton, Douglas, Carrollton, Clayton, Henry, DeKalb, Walton, Gwinnett, Banks, and Habersham.
This week, okay, 13 threats. We did a show here, and if you didn't get a chance to watch it, I just think it was an amazing show that we put together with superintendent of schools, law enforcement, and superintendent of schools. We put everybody together and asked questions about school safety. 13 threats this week. We have a teacher that went into the high school in Dalton and took his weapon in and fired it out the window this week. We've had the NRA attacks on the NRA, not NRA attacks. We've had vilified the NRA this week. Wow, we are going to have one action-packed all-star panel this morning with the spin cycle of news that has taken place throughout the day. We've had the President of the United States say, hey, take the guns first, due process later, and everybody got all upset. What all has happened this week? I mean, it's so hard to keep up with every bit of what's going on. Folks, don't worry about stock market, please. Just look for a nice weekend. Don't worry about the news saying the stock market's down 400 points because Donald Trump said he's going to put a 25% tariff on steel and I think a 10% on aluminum. Now, we don't have all morning to discuss trade deficits, okay? We don't have, but America, you have a president that everything about his presidency is America first, period, okay? No matter what the spin cycle is on the news, it's America first. For some of you, maybe some of the younger crowd in the audience this morning, to you, Bethlehem Steel is a casino. That's right. To me, I remember where Bethlehem Steel used to be. I remember it very well. I remember men and women that got up in the morning and went to work at Bethlehem Steel. But if you go to the Lehigh Valley in Pennsylvania, there's no Bethlehem Steel, folks. It's gone. It's a casino. That's true. Where Bethlehem Steel was at one time, it's a casino. Go out to Pittsburgh. The Pittsburgh Steelers. Ironically, they still have the helmets. I think they should change their name to the Pittsburgh Technological Center football team, because there's no more Pittsburgh Steel for the most part, as we once knew it in this country in the history. It's gone. So we have the Steelers, but we have no steel. Go to Baltimore, Maryland. Instead of shooting everybody up in Dundalk, Maryland, which Dundalk is just a little suburb of Baltimore. It's a little section of Baltimore, downtown, inner city Baltimore. Instead of gang violence in Dundalk, Maryland, there used to be middle-class families that lived there, that mom and dad, maybe mom did too, went to Sparrows Point and worked in the steel mill. Now, I don't mean to go on and on about that, but, you know, until you truly understand, and no disrespect, what it has meant to this country for the Chinese to dump foreign raw steel in this country, okay? Foreign raw aluminum, all right? You know, I'm of the generation that remembers that they took all of their scrap steel and sent us back the toys. Really? I mean, these cheap toys that we get from these China that's made out of dumped steel products. List goes on and on. Don't get nervous, folks. The president said he's going to protect, he's going to put a tariff in. I'm not telling you I am for tariffs. I am actually for free trade. But don't get all nervous with what the media is doing. I mean, the biggest concern I have this week is that Hope Hicks is not going to be in the White House. I know I got to look from Amanda if she hears that Hope Hicks will not be in the White House one more time from me, right?
Goodbye.
Goodbye. There you go. Parkland, what was the solution? What is the solution? Leave it up to politicians? I'm your host, BKP. Good morning from Circuit World. I really have looked at the news and thought to myself this morning, what do we talk about today? What do we focus in on? So I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna bring it down to Georgia. This past week, Delta Airlines, okay, sent out what I call, this past Saturday, it made the news all week. Delta Airlines sent out what I call the $40 million tweet. And we played it several times on the show this week, where they said they would no longer extend, okay, no longer extend benefits or discounts to NRA members. And what was missed in Lieutenant Governor Casey Cagle's comment and his tweet, what I think was actually missed there, is he was not singling out Delta as though, as like Delta singled out the NRA members. He was saying to Delta, look, my words, not the Lieutenant Governor Casey Cagle's words, but he's saying basically to Delta, look, if you want the extensions and the tax cuts that we're planning to put in place for Delta, the largest, okay, publicly traded private sector employer in the state of Georgia, if you want those tax breaks, don't target a segment. Now, my question is, if Delta would have came out this past week and said, We are no longer going to give a group discount to an organization that promotes the LGBTQ community. What would have happened? What if Delta would have come out this past Saturday and said, we are no longer going to extend discounts to, and Enterprise Car Rental and all of those, we're no longer going to extend discounts to the National Dental Association of Orthodontists, blah, 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 throughout the United States. No longer. What would the outrage be? They pick a group and they put a target on a group of Americans. You see, out of 5 million NRA members, plus whatever the number is, I'd say the majority of those NRA members are just good law-abiding citizens. I would say the percentage in the group in the NRA membership is as high, law-abiding is as high as any group in the United States, if not higher. But yet they were singled out, NRA. So Casey Cagle, the lieutenant governor, yesterday a bill passed that tax break for jet fuel, which is being called the Delta Jet Fuel Tax Break. It's not really, it's all jet fuel. Anyone in Georgia that flies a jet gets that tax break on the jet fuel, but because the size of Delta, it's being called that. But yesterday, the state of Georgia passed the new tax legislation in Georgia for the people of Georgia. We'll get into that next week. And that tax break for Delta is stripped out, and all jet fuel, aviation jet fuel, is stripped out this morning. So Casey Cagle is, we're waiting right now. It's going to be either Monday or Tuesday, but Lieutenant Governor Casey Cagle will be a guest on the show Monday or Tuesday. They're confirming right now, the communications people. So Lieutenant Governor Casey Cagle will be on our show Monday or Tuesday. You know, due process, and I want to talk about this, all right? Due process is getting convoluted. Why do they not want to allow a qualified teacher to have? Why are liberals pushing so hard against a qualified teacher to have a firearm to shoot back to protect our children? Somebody really has to ask that question and get a real answer of why we allow the liberals to tell us banning an assault weapon, changing the age of eligibility, and tightening up a background check will protect our children versus return fire. Somebody has to answer that. I'm your host, BKP. We've got a lot. We got a lot to go over. We're going to get a lot of these things out and you heard the other day. Now, if you did not get a chance, okay, right here at this table, if you did not get a chance to watch our special, it is on YouTube, about school safety, because we had the superintendent of schools of Gilmer County, Dr. Shanna Wilkes, superintendent of schools of Fannin County, where we're at, Dr. Michael Gwatney, Sheriff, Fannin County Sheriff Dane Kirby, Gilmer County Sheriff Stacy Nicholson, and District Attorney B. Allison Sosby. That 2-hour special is on our website. And what did Sheriff Nicholson say? Every threat's serious now. There's no joke, no joking around. Kid puts something on Snapchat, it's not considered a joke, it's a serious threat. 13 this week alone in Georgia. I'm your host, BKP. As soon as we get back, we're going to have Dr. William Whaley in here. And then right after that, Ask the Doc. And then right after that will be All-Star Panel, Rick, Bruce, and Jane, Pet of the Week. We got it all going on Fridays. Did I forget something? You're looking at me like I forgot something, so go for it.
We're not going to have a live Pet of the Week today, but we are going to put together a slideshow for the Pet of the Week.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought they were going to bring back Yogi.
Oh, no. Don't talk about Yogi.
Okay. I'm your host, BKP. Dr. Whaley, as soon as we return.
All I do is win, 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 no matter what. Got money on my mind, I can never get enough. And every time I step up in the building, everybody hands go up. And they stay there, and they say yeah, and they say there. Cause all I do is win, win, win. And if you going in, put your hands in the air, make them stay there. All I do is win, win.
The Tupelo Tea mission is to provide over 80 premium tea blends for tea lovers who are looking for ways to explore new flavors and blends. Come visit Tupelo Tea, located in beautiful downtown Blue Ridge at Sycamore Crossing. Be sure to sample our various varieties of honey and tea. Visit us on the web at tupelotea.com or call us at 706-946-TEAS. That's TEAS. Tupelo Tea, located in beautiful downtown Blue Ridge.
Better days ahead.
It's just this simple. Nobody beats Days on price. If it's a Chevy, you'll pay less at Days Chevrolet in Jasper. Now save $4,000 off a new 2018 Chevy Malibu, or save up to $10,000 off a new 2018 Silverado Crew Cab. It doesn't matter which Chevy you choose. Nobody beats Days on price. $10,000 off Silverados and $4,000 off Malibus at Days Chevy in Jasper.
Better days ahead. Days Chevrolet.
Find new roads.
Papa's Pizza to Go in downtown Blue Ridge is the best in the area all-you-can-eat buffet. Call ahead or order online now at papaspizzatogo.com. Use our convenient pickup window for the best in pizza, subs, wings, breadsticks, salads, and more. And be sure to check out our lively game room. We serve lunch and dinner, catering available, take out or dine in. Papa's Pizza to Go in Blue Ridge, proud sponsors of the Fannin County Rebels.
What you gonna do with all that junk?
Dr. Whaley, how are you?
I'm great, and yourself?
I love the sunshine. It's going to be a beautiful weekend. Might be a little cool, but a beautiful weekend. Love the sunshine. It's been raining a little bit. This is quite a live, active show. Now, I want to extend an apology to anyone that's in the field of dentistry or orthodontics. I am not.
How about periodontist and endodontist?
All of them.
Okay.
Okay. I was just making an example.
All right, go ahead.
The last person I want to upset is the dentist. They bring this drill, and I'm like, I don't want them upset, you know what I mean? But you understood the comments I was making.
I did, yeah.
So thank you for all the live comments, and we have a live question for you this morning that came in as we were on. We'll talk about that in just a minute. Dr. Whaley with the Georgia Cancer Specialists, we want to thank them always for our segment. and look at the logo on the top there, and we always appreciate them for sponsoring that.
Georgia Cancer Specialist of the Northside Cancer Institute.
I have to practice that.
You do. Go
okay,
ahead.
you know.
You gotta go. It'll take you weeks to get that right.
We have the logo up.
Yeah,
I gotta practice that whole
right.
line. It's hard for me on Fridays to remember I'm at Circuit World.
Well, I got to tell you, the program you did Wednesday,
yes,
I thought you were advertising TVs because the way you had the set up, you had all the TVs and the two different things, and you didn't really realize how extensive the TV display is here until you saw that thing on Wednesday, which was very good, by the way. And
did you enjoy?
I watched 75 minutes of it. I watched the hour before I started seeing patients, and then I got kind of boxed.
Did you watch the one lady over here that asked that question? What was her name?
Yeah, I noticed it was and I tell you, I was impressed, but it was good. And one of the questions we're going to come to today is going to reflect on that some more. And the other thing I was going to say, you remember a few weeks ago, I had to go down to the. I went down on Thursday night so I could get back here on Friday morning because my barber of 50 years had died. And everybody called him a hairstylist instead of a barber.
Right.
And
okay.
So I noticed that you found your own hairstylist up here in the mountains. Not a barber, but a hairstylist. And I just...
Easy over there at the table, no comments.
Congratulations on the hairstylist thing. All right.
All right, okay.
Get to work. Go ahead.
Hey, by the way, JR, he said he watched that program. I want to know if TV sales went up after Wednesday.
Yeah, JR, you had a lot of great TVs on the Wednesday program. Go ahead. Now you want to get to that with a call-in question first?
Yeah, let's get to the question that we got live this morning. We somebody sent us a question, and don't forget throughout the week you could send an Ask the Doc question. Ask the Doc to Doctor for Dr. Whaley on Fridays to info at fetchernews.com, and we'll get it to Dr. Whaley. But this came in live this morning, and Dr. Whaley wants to answer it or make a comment on it. What is your opinion on cheaper international cosmetic or general surgery, for example, in Mexico, instead of having cosmetic or general surgery in the U.S.?
I think it's a great question, really. And when you call in these questions, let me say, frequently I'm not real smart. So the question will get set aside for me to go research it, and it'll come back the next week. But okay, I can answer this one. Much dental surgery, knee and hip replacement, facelift, breast augmentation, types of surgery that are cash-based, they're not insured, you've got to pay for them on the open market. There are many places in South America and in Central America, Mexico being one, where the physicians and providers have been trained in the U.S. or have been trained in Europe or are very well trained. The places are highly rated. They're clean as a whistle. You can get good reviews of Europeans and so forth that have gone there. And that would be particularly dental work that you have to pay for that's not insured, the facelift, the breast augmentation, and things that come out of your pocketbook. If you look at, I hate to say, if you look at Brazil or Colombia, they're famous for women that wear these bathing suits that are no bigger than my glass of thing.
I have no idea what you're talking about,
I know you do, but
you know, for the viewers out there that may understand.
So quite often,
just continue to talk.
Quite obviously, they have very competent cosmetic surgeons in Central and South America. Yeah, the issue would be do a whole lot of due diligence, and I think it's entirely reasonable and safe. Now, if you're going to get a hip replacement or a knee replacement, insurance is going to pay for it. I think I'd get that here. And the Canadians come to America to get theirs, and so.
But the due diligence, make sure.
The due diligence.
Right.
And there are a lot of great doctors down there. We train them. So I would tell you, particularly the things you got to pay for out of your pocket. And that would be dental, some fancy cosmetic work in your mouth and plastic surgery.
Thank you for that question. Again, info at fetchernews.com throughout the week, and you can send a question here. Thank you for emailing that question. Let's get into. I don't know if you have a particular order on the questions.
Stick with the order that came in, because that's the way. I got my mind on that this
Oh,
week.
so you're working in. Okay, stick. I've been told to stick to the order.
Well, at least for number one,
Okay.
because we might be stuck here all day.
In the view of progressive violence in schools and the claims of mental illness, what, in your opinion, would make more and more children have these issues? We did not at my young age, somewhere in the 40s. No laughing over there. We didn't talk about mental illness. Where are we at on this, where this question is concerned?
Well, first of all, I want to hook this to your Wednesday discussion, because the Wednesday discussion had the superintendent of schools of the two counties closest to us, the sheriffs of the counties of the two closest to us, and the school resource officers of the counties two closest to us, and they were talking about what you do in a shooter scenario and trying to recognize the at-risk child and that sort of stuff. And that's kind of like when your vehicle's going 110 miles an hour and you're trying to wonder how you're going to stop the crash. How do you keep the guy from driving 110 miles an hour? Quite obviously, since I think Amanda said there'd been 13, 15, 18 at least recorded hopefully false alarm alerts in the last week.
Just here in Georgia.
Just here in Georgia, yeah. I mean, they're all over the country. The medical community has also been pouring out suggestions and information. And interestingly, on Monday of this week, in the American Journal of Pediatrics, which is the article at Delphi in Pediatrics, Canadian and American pediatricians and primary care physicians and mental health professionals all made a recommendation that slightly changes the recommendation they've had for the last 10 years. And that was that every teenager, think about that, every teenager have a psychological mental health assessment every year by his primary care physician. Now, I'm going to guarantee you hardly any teenager goes to see a doctor every year. I mean, do you? I mean, think through that a minute. And the reason for that is that nobody's supposed to know the kid any better than the primary care physician. I would extend that actually to include schools, include coaches, include teachers, include everybody, family, everybody around, to what sort of the warning signs of an issue of pressure is. And here's the reason that it's felt that this is a new phenomenon that did not hit us. First, the facts first. Greater than 50% of childhood depression, say mental illness, is not recognized nor diagnosed. And of those that are recognized and diagnosed, fewer than 10% are treated. So that means that huge group of kids that have mental health disorders are not being treated. Now, I want to make this a little bit, I may be going out on a limb here, but first of all, the things that make it so hard on kids today that did make it hard on me and you was social media pounds them to death. The idea of cyberbullying is huge and new. I'm going to pick on you a minute. So I'm going to imagine that you were a little chubby kid in the first grade.
Whoa. You should tell me this, not on live. You don't do this on live. You can't tell me.
All right.
You call me. All right, so I'm the chubby kid in first grade. Go right
All right,
ahead.
I'm just making for an example. Okay.
You over there don't laugh.
Okay, in our day, any kind of stuff would have been 2 or 3 good friends that you went with, you know, and I mean, I was called Whale Tail because my fanny was wide. You know, we had a guy we called Tiny. Well, early Tiny grew 8 inches when he was 14, but he was a little kid. So we had a nickname for him, Tiny.
You know, I don't want to interrupt you, but I will say this. I'm glad you're going this direction because when I'm going to say 7 years old, and there's 10 of us 7-year-old boys. Not a one of us knew each other by our real name.
Okay, they got a nickname.
Okay,
now,
I'm with you.
Today, that becomes cyberbullying on Facebook or whatever they call it, where they talk about the kid with the big ears, or they talk about the kid that's racially mixed or whatever it is, and they pound that kid to death. Whereas in our day, it'd have been your 5 or 6 year kids, and you'd have called him Porky, you'd have called him Dumbo or something. Everybody had a nickname. They go say, so cyberbullying is huge. Then they've got this I don't even know the names of all of them, Snapchats, but anyway, social media, whatever the heck you call the thing. And then lastly, they're suffering post-traumatic stress disorder. And listen to this, Sam. Y'all quit talking over there. Post-traumatic stress disorder. I want you to think this is the 50th anniversary of Vietnam. Changed the country as much as the death of, it was thought to be one of the 5 biggest events to ever occur in a Western culture was Vietnam, the death of Kennedy, the death of Lincoln, because they fought the war in the living room. And Mama saw her son liable to getting killed out there, and Mama was mad. And then that created a huge social upheaval and the anti-war movement and the student movements and everything else, and we lost our confidence in the president because he lied. Well, these kids have post-traumatic stress disorder because all day, every day, when they see on TV, they see this school shooting, they see this guy that blew up a train. They see that car running through hundreds of people there in the south of France. And they are so imbued with trauma of real traumatic events. And then their games are those things where they're shooting people and everything. So violence has risen to where for us it was ball. Or hunting cowboys and Indians. In other words, the things that they do all day, every day, are violent, and then they have all this. They have all this stuff where they see people. They play with violence, and they see where people use violence to kill people, like those big old trucks, and then they're getting bullied because they got big ears or whatever it is on the social media, and it's so much more traumatic for them. That the incidence of depression and the incidence of aggression that is below the surface in adolescence is extremely much higher than it was in us. So, people aren't going to take their kid to the doctor every year like the American Academy of Pediatrics suggests. So, all of those people in the network really need to be educated on what are the warning signs and how do you bring them out.
Coaches to teachers,
to church, everything.
Warning signs on these things that they could report to somebody of authority.
All right, now
not of authority, but I mean of.
Here's what they're going to do.
Well, all right, tell us what they're going to do.
The coach is going to call in the dad or the mom and say, "Look, you know, I'm worried about Johnny." Okay, the coach and the mom's going to take them to the pediatrician and primary care physician. Here it gets to be crucial as well. That coach, that primary care physician or pediatrician has to talk to the child alone. Because that child with his mama's going to answer the questions for him. 2 days ago, I saw a emancipated patient, meaning 18 or over, with a very complicated medical history, whose mother was there, and I said, would you like to let your daughter talk alone? No, I'll stay. So I go start going through this history and ask the girl questions. Mama answers them all. I actually had to send Mama out of the room to learn what was going on with that girl. So now you've got this 8-year-old kid that the coach or somebody says has got a problem. Mama takes that kid to the doctor, And the doctor goes through a brief, you know, you've seen those alcohol questions. Cage, it's only 5 questions. It takes you less than a minute to do it. And we talked about Alzheimer's screening in here a few weeks ago. And you can do that in 1 or 2 minutes. So we're not talking about an hour psychological evaluation. But that doctor wants to ask that kid some things and get him to talk. And Mama sits there and answers the questions. So he's got to be able to talk to the kid alone. And then he's got to be able to talk to the parents. And if the doctor's good, Ray Tidman's good, I know these guys are good, then they'll be able to tell you this kid really is hostile, he's depressed or whatever, and that then sort of is the steps below where you were with your expert panel and the how do you stop the shooter situation the other day. So anyway, this question is, why do I think it's gotten so much worse? I don't want to call it total mental illness, and it's all of the stuff that's here today that wasn't here before. And that's cyberbullying, social networks, and the like. And that's enough of that.
Well, no, I mean, we're going to probably get into that with the All-Star panel. And I will say this, you want to stick around for the All-Star panel because if you know me well enough, Dr. Whaley brought up nicknames. So when we get into the All-Star panel where we can horse around a little bit, I'm going to tell you a nickname story, okay? But we're going to wait for that.
Ooh, I got to give you the nickname of
no,
your female.
we got to move. You already called me the chubby kid in first grade.
I did, but I mean, I got a nickname.
I'm just going to say,
if you ask one of those what their nickname was, you'll get a hoot out of it.
Okay.
Didn't last long, but it was embarrassing. Okay.
I read there is a specific test for ovarian cancer. Should I ask my doctor for a CA-125 blood test to screen for ovarian cancer?
Well, that's actually 2 questions, because the CA-125 is not the test that has been recently touted as being a fairly specific blood test for cancer detection, and there is nobody in the world who believes that a CA-125 test should be done routinely on a woman to diagnose cancer. So the answer to the question is you should not ask for a CA-125 test to diagnose cancer. Now, the writer of that question didn't really realize that just take the whole CA-125 out of it, and there is a specific test that is being evaluated at the present time that is frequently touted in the news as being a huge breakthrough, and it is a breakthrough that isn't ready for prime time yet, that is called the liquid biopsy. Sam, you heard of a liquid biopsy? All right. So a liquid biopsy draws blood out of your arm. No needles, no knives, no surgery. And then that liquid biopsy, through all of this fancy genetics we keep talking about, tests that blood for microscopic RNA, which is a genetic material, or for cancer tumor DNA fragments that are specific for different organs. And the ones that they are working on to detect the best are lung, colon, melanoma, prostate, and the last is ovary. So someday, and I think someday is coming really quick now, probably within a year or 18 months, there will be commercially marketed a specific RNA or DNA directed test for one or more of these tumors. But right now, the technology does not exist. It is not available. You can't go to your doctor and get your blood drawn and do it. Although you can in certain places. I know that this is going on at the University of Arizona and several others. You can participate in a clinical trial and have your blood drawn and tested. But to get into that clinical trial, you've got to have a high risk or family history or something so that it gets you in there. Well, it's a great question, but the CA-125 is not the answer, and the liquid biopsy will be out there one of these days.
Okay, our last question of the day is, can chemotherapy side effects increase the risk of heart disease? Can chemotherapy increase the risk of heart disease?
All right, Amanda, you want to show that map? Show that map. This map that Amanda's getting ready to show here, and I'll show it to you so you can see it. It's another one of those things that looks like a Zika map or something else. But the bright red areas are areas of the country that have an increased incidence of heart disease. So just living in one of those areas of darkness increases your incidence of heart disease, and increases your incidence of heart disease perhaps in the same order of magnitude as chemotherapy in general. There's a second chart now. If you'll take that little chart, the one that says.
I have a question here.
Yeah.
On this one, is this saying like there's more heart disease in Alabama? Is that what that's showing?
Yes.
Is that because they have better barbecue? That's my joke of the day.
It is a good joke. I mean, if you really want to know the truth,
no,
it's
just
because,
talking. I don't want to get off the. I guess they
well, okay. Hey, it's another day then.
Yeah, I was just.
All right.
So wondering
the next question, the next chart she's going to show it is a recommended health risk analysis for people who were specifically treated for Hodgkin's disease, although this exists for everything else. And you'll notice it has people who had Hodgkin's disease treatment with radiation have a higher incidence of cancer of the breast, and we have to do more mammograms on them. The drug adriamycin, which is part of the recipe that's used in breast cancer and in Hodgkin's disease, has some cardiac side effects, and over time it can increase the risk of coronary events from 3% to 6%, but the overall total benefit from treating the patient with the malignancy is that it saved the patient's life. So we know what drugs, let's take Lance Armstrong because he's a great example. The cancer that Lance Armstrong had was 100% fatal. When he had it in his brain and his lung and he was dying, the treatment that he received at the University of Indiana, we brought it up before, was just being developed by Larry Einhorn, a friend of mine. They call it the Einhorn regimen. One of those drugs is called bleomycin, and it gives you severe lung disease, and it has a reaction that can give you severe lung disease in a very tiny percentage of patients. Well, obviously that happened to Lance Armstrong. He'd never been able to win the Tour de France. So we know that when we've treated a patient with testicular cancer, they've given them bleomycin, then we watch them for lung disease for the rest of their life. And very few develop it. For females who had breast cancer treatment with adriamycin, or anybody of any sex who had treatment with Hodgkin's disease with adriamycin, then they are in a program, and the very first recommendation on that list is, after conclusion of treatment, refer them to a cardiologist for baseline study so that you'll know what they were like when they finished. You can follow them for the rest of your life. So the answer is yes, some chemo, really just a small part of it, can increase your incidence of heart disease, but not much worse than that map that you saw earlier, which is geographic. And so live in Alabama and you got a risk there. How's that?
That's good. I'm sorry, folks. We turned the set around, and now it's like squirrel where I can see out the window. So there's actually things out there that get. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but you're missing.
We're listening to you, Dr. Whaley.
No, I'm listening to Dr. Whaley too. Now wait a minute. But you turn the set around, and I can see the beautiful sunshine out there in Blue Ridge. And
but you miss the TVs. See, you don't get to see all the TVs that are behind us this way.
Dr. Whaley, you know as well as I do. You see the all-star panel team assembling out there, ready to go. They have their notes. They have everything. But we don't want to close without. Do you have a final statement for today that you'd like to make? We always like to give you an opportunity to give us a closer. You're like that guy we bring out of the bullpen. It's the ninth inning. We need one more out. So
we started off by talking about the school, the adolescents, and why do you feel like they have a higher degree of violence, mental illness, whatever you want to call it. In that same journal that came out, the pediatricians recommending that the kids go get screen for depression once a year, when we know that kids don't go to the doctor once a year, had an article in there about that DASH diet we keep talking about, which is the diet approach to stop hypertension. Well, the purpose of that was not that they were beating that dead horse about the hypertension, the diabetes, and the heart disease. It's that as they have been analyzing this data over the last year, and I've brought it all up about the hypertension and all, they discovered that the people that followed that diet had almost a 20% reduction in depression, anxiety, and mental illness. Now, that's got nothing to do with cyberbullying or any of the other things we were talking about earlier, but I can't imagine why following this healthy diet with the 7 or 8 servings of fruits and vegetables a day and low salt, and that lowers your hypertension and heart disease things, should keep you from being depressed. But that was the last little benefit of following that healthy diet I keep talking to you about.
Well, now wait a minute. Now, you're talking to me about healthy diet.
Yep.
You've already went on the show here and told the world, because it's the World Wide Web, that I was the chubby kid in first grade.
Yeah.
But I am going to tell you, I'm walking 2 miles 3 days a week.
That's good.
Okay.
That's
so,
perfect.
I mean,
and I give you a gold star. And when
2
you're
miles, 3 days. I walked 2 miles yesterday.
when you're ultimately up to 20 miles a week and do that for the rest of your life, it will extend the length of your life if you start that below the age of 45 by as much as 8 years. 8 years is a
I'm
long
up to
time.
6 miles.
I know. That's what I'm saying. You're on the right track.
So 2 miles 3 days a week. Okay.
Keep it up.
So I may no longer be.
Plus, he got him a hairstylist. Not a barber.
We're going to break on that. I've heard that all week. Dr. Whaley, Georgia Cancer Specialist. You see the logo on the top. We thank them for their support, and I will
Georgia
practice.
Cancer Specialists of Northside Cancer Institute. There you go.
Oh, I'm going to practice that, okay? Right after these messages, the all-star panel, and you don't want to miss it because Dr. Whaley is the one that brought up nickname. So he did it, so we're going to talk. Don't miss it.
Part of the
Rick,
cyberbullying.
Bruce, and Jane are ready right after these messages. We're at Circuit World in Blue Ridge. Take us out of here.
Ace is your healthful place for paint and home goods, tools, outdoor living, and lawn equipment. But did you know Ace Hardware of Blue Ridge is a little bit more? We have hunting rifles and accessories for your next hunting trip. We have Amish furniture imported directly from Ohio. And we have Ace Custom Woodworks for all your custom wood project needs, from cabinets to artwork. Ace Hardware of Blue Ridge. We have your new house in stock.
North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds. Come on in to view the area's largest selection of fine jewelry at North Georgia Diamond. All repairs and designs are done on site by our jewelers. And North Georgia Diamond has the lowest prices on loose diamonds. You can also sell your gold, silver, and coins at North Georgia Diamond between Walmart and Lowe's in East Ellijay. Locally owned by Bill and Allison Craig, North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds in North Georgia.
In 1981, Reed Nicholson began selling tires out of an old barn in Mineral Bluff. Little did he know that he had just laid the groundwork for the most trusted names in automotive services in the Blue Ridge area. In 1997, Nicholson Tire Center became what it is today, holding the same values of faith, family, and great customer service. 2 locations to serve you, and the Blue Ridge location is currently expanding to offer fast service and the largest U-Haul provider in Georgia. Nicholson Tire Center, Blue Ridge, and Mineral Bluff.
Medium Pizza Hut pizzas, just $5.99 each.
Did they say Pizza Hut?
For $5.99?
Yes, and yes.
Yes! Introducing the deal you want on the pizza you crave. 2 medium pizzas, just $5.99 each. No one out pizzas the hot.
Hi, I'm Rhonda the Mattress Lady, and this is my husband Gary, owners of Mattress Overstocked in Ellijay next to Walmart. And we want to earn your business. From the time you walk in our door to the time we deliver your new mattress to your door, you will see the difference. Our selection and prices are the best in North Georgia, and customer service is our top priority. So y'all come on in and let us help you find the right mattress at the right price. That's Mattress Overstocked in Ellijay next to Walmart.
I've had
I'm sorry. I can't help it. This
Stand
group
by
here.
your-
Hey, it's time for the All-Star Panel. I'm your host, BKP. Good morning from beautiful downtown Blue Ridge. We're at Circuit World. And before we get started, I think you all know the lovely lady to my right would be Jane, and her friend would be Rick and Bruce. And that, but I want to say to everyone here, they're busy over at Circuit World. Wednesday, they set up for us. They made sure they had everything turned the right way. This whole entire staff, I wanted to make sure they were here on Friday. They were not here Wednesday. This whole entire staff took Tuesday, turned this store completely around to accommodate all of us for the great show, and thank you for your participation Wednesday that we were able to put together. So I want to thank all the staff here at Circuit World for what they did, getting everything ready for that special show.
How's the feedback been for that show?
I had with a lot of emails, a lot of conversation, even some people in Atlanta had sent some messages.
Anything from Whoopi or Oprah?
No. Joy Behar did not send me any messages.
Let's send her one.
Yeah, let's send her one.
Angie Art? Chief Johnny?
Give her the salute. Give Joy the salute from the All-Star Panel.
Yeah.
Folks, for 2 hours Wednesday, I just have to warn you right now, for 2 hours Wednesday, this group, we had to really be serious. I mean, everybody had their blazers on. We were serious.
Dressed up.
So
right.
we may have to laugh a little bit this morning because I feel like we've been in what I call the spin cycle of news. My God, I don't know where to start. But I want to say this, okay? We're talking about, Dr. Whaley brought up cyberbullying, and that, our kids are living on these screens. And, when we were kids, it wasn't unusual that everybody in the neighborhood had a nickname.
It's not unusual.
Everybody had a nickname when we were kids. So, I mean, realistically, Rick, you know this, and I've told stories before. I grew up in a neighborhood, okay? Grew up in a neighborhood, and that was not unusual at all for 10 to 12 10-year-old boys to assemble to play baseball at any time, okay? And if you see any pictures somewhere around 1970 of the kid with the baseball hat folded up in the back pocket, remember you used to fold it this way, right? It went in the back pocket, baseball bat over your shoulder, on the knob, the glove stuck on the knob, right?
On the knob, yeah.
And you had your jeans on, you're headed up, and you're rounding all the guys up in the neighborhood. Yeah, I want to tell this, okay? You're rounding, so you're going door to door rounding the guys up. Good morning. I'm not going to say the name, Miss So-and-so. Could Corky come out? Corky gets his bat. Yeah, he really was. So we had a kid in the neighborhood, okay? And by the time we got to this one house, there's 4 or 5 of us. So picture 10-year-old boys knocking on the door, baseball bats, gloves, and there's, So we have a kid in the neighborhood, all right, that his nickname was Toad.
Toad.
Oh,
Toad.
poor baby.
So he was Toad, all right?
Toad the wet sprocket.
Now, everybody had something that, resembled their nickname. So this kid, won't mention no names, know him still to this day, he walked on the balls of his feet. It's like his heels would never touch the ground. We would always pick on him, right? And so one kid one day, I think we're 5, said, you walk like a toad. So for the rest of his life, he's Toad, right? Your problem with this is you understand what I'm saying, right? Tell the truth, all right, Rick? So anyhow, so picture this. So there's the day we're all getting ready to go play baseball. So by the time we get to Toad's house, there's 5 or 6 of us. So we knock on the door, right? You ready for the punchline?
Yeah, we're ready.
Right?
Who's there?
Because we was knocked on the door, so the door opens and there's we would rehearse it. Okay, so there's 5 10-year-old boys. We would knock on the door. We would rehearse it. The door would open and we'd say, all 5 of us together in song would say, "Mama Toad, can Toad come out and play?" And we would get in trouble all the
Mama
time.
Toad.
Mama Toad. Oh, his mom, we would get in so much trouble.
As you should have.
Yeah.
See,
As you should have. Did that little guy like being called Toad? Or did
No, but I'm not telling you my nickname.
You were a voyeur.
We had Corky, we had Toad.
Corky.
The more important question is, was he a good ball player?
Yeah, you had to go get Toad. Toad played second.
There you go.
But then there was Corky. I'm not going to go through the list.
Who's on first?
All right, Glickard, here's the question for you,
Okay,
and I
I'm
want
ready.
an honest answer. Are you telling me that everybody in the neighborhood didn't have a name, and
Oh, yeah.
it was not until a certain age before you actually
before you kind
right?
of.
You know
Yeah.
when that age was?
Huh.
When all the guys here it is. All right, I'm having fun. So when all the guys, here's the age where it went out the window. When all the guys finally got to the point and said, "Don't call me that in front of girls," right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, Jane, are you
I'm
have a
learning all
comment?
this.
Please,
Oh, my.
Listen,
No later than
This is a
freshman year in
politi-
high
I
school.
got news for you. We girls called y'all something else.
Yeah.
I mean, how
please, when the girls are here, don't call me Stinky.
that was my nickname.
Okay, how do we get this back? I just
Well,
had you.
you know,
Dr. Whaley said, we had nicknames. If, by the way, I was not the chubby kid in first grade.
Yes, you were.
Oh.
You
Okay.
said.
Wait a
that I
minute, wait. Before we get serious, we have a Rick said he wanted to open the show with something, and what was that, Rick?
Well, and we were really serious Wednesday, and we have a lot of fun. I really would like to ask everybody out there, Bruce and I and Brian have been a little bit down. We wanted to have a moment of silence for the resignation of Hope Hicks. What? What? Was that wrong? Was that wrong?
If somebody would have told me that was wrong. Huh? No, I didn't orchestrate. Why do you always think I'm like the one that puts people up to things? Our ladies over here are shaking their head.
The ladies and Brian yesterday had a little back and forth in the office about the about the veritable pulchritude of the woman named Hope Hicks. So I had to go there anyway. All right, let's get to
Hope
it.
Hicks has resigned. Okay, let's just basically recap Wednesday in a way of Bruce. What did you think on air? What did you think about our meeting we got together Wednesday and had and the conversation? Maybe let's go like this. What did you hear right here in Blue Ridge, in North Georgia, that you did not hear spun around on the national media?
Well, I think it was a lot of the local issues that the school people have to deal with. The superintendent was talking about, if a kid shows any kind of issue or problem or whatever, they have to go through this manifestation thing, and then it just gets into the gobbledygook of bureaucracy, and their hands are tied. And I think that, and I asked her at the end, I said, do you have any hope this is going to get better? She goes, no, it's going to get worse.
What about you, Jane? Did we peel back the onion some, as they say, in the total subject matter Wednesday that we did not see spun on TV, or what we have been told on TV? Did we dig a little deeper in a different way and bring some things out?
Yeah, I think we did. And one thing that Dane Kirby shared with me yesterday was that there's a website, something about all going on in Blue Ridge or something, I don't know. But they've taken the schools, all the schools in Georgia, and ranked them according to their safety. And the criteria is on the website. And Blue Ridge is like out of, I don't know how many, we're either 9 or 12. I mean, and 5 of them were all Atlanta inner city schools. They're the safest because that's kind of amazing to me. But that is really encouraging, and I will get the link if anyone wants to go see that out to Sam or Amanda. But I thought that was fabulous, that our schools are that safe as compared to other schools in this whole state.
But what about you, Rick, before I move on?
Well, I'm going to be consistent and say the same thing I said to you off, and I said it, I think, in the broadcast. I always had a perception, and it was probably obviously wrong, of some of the resource officers. They kind of, well, I think maybe we need to put this guy as a resource officer or this lady as a resource officer, because they weren't really up to muster on the street. I was really impressed by the resource officers that they brought here. their ability to communicate the level of
training,
of interaction with the kids, and and again, they walk a fine line. They fill a lot of empty roles that these kids have when they come from a single parent or a broken home or whatever. I mean, these are their role models. So they really came way up in my mind.
Well, I want to say this when you say resource officer. Wednesday, what I wanted to do and accomplish is, I've been watching so much of this spin, and we have this sheriff that in Broward County, just a total disgrace, just total
now
disgrace.
There's a toad.
There's a toad. I knew that was coming.
So
I beat you.
Total disgrace. But what did we hear in our brain? Sheriff, and I'm thinking, we have some sheriffs in North Georgia that are constitutionalists. They're
Amen.
They're the opposite. America needs to quit seeing Israel and the word sheriff together. Resource officer, we found out, was a total coward. Even though his attorney sent out a memo saying he is not a coward, is a coward. Did not go in, and I'm thinking, wait a minute, we have resource officers. I'm watching superintendent of school down there. I'm thinking, we have the opposite.
But did he have the protocol drilled into him? Because they say now the protocol for those guys, was to
stand down,
perimeterize, stay out until they have an order to go in.
Well, but I guess what I wanted to do is I wanted to make sure, because we are rural America and we're duplicated all across this country. I mean, we're fortunate to live in North Georgia here in the mountains, but this great country, there's a lot of mirror images of where we're at, more than downtown Atlanta, downtown these metropolitan areas. So I wanted to say, hey, out in the rural areas of Illinois, out in the rural areas of Indiana, there's good superintendent of schools. There's a good sheriff. So we put that together on Wednesday, and my takeaway is, I call us the never could happen here zone, and it makes me nervous. And we had Sheriff Stacy Nicholson, and I want to say what you said, I agree 100%, and I'm so thankful for the safety, but we had a sheriff sitting here that can't go into detail in public, but said the next ticking time bomb's out there.
Right.
It's there. And it's here. He says it's here.
And he said, I'm one phone call away from that all going to hell.
Right.
To Bruce's point, though, on that resource officer, if people would really drill down and look at that Promise program, I think Bruce's point was that these guys have been indoctrinated, that they're really not police officers when they're there. They're kind of the last resort, because the schools have been urged to take care of all of these problems on the inside.
They're snowflake handlers.
Yeah, they're snowflake handlers.
We have not addressed. We have, but the country's not addressing, because we're led by the liberal media, not us, but the country in general, with not focusing on the breakdown of the system that really happened. I mean, you can watch hours on top of hours, and that's another thing I wanted to accomplish Wednesday, was the breakdown in the system, the entire system breakdown, not the NRA. Mm-hmm. Okay? The gun didn't get up. You can leave a gun in the center hallway of a school overnight, and it will not get up and shoot the janitor that's mopping the floor. And that just won't do it.
But there's a whole segment of the population U.S. that says that gun should never be there in the first place.
Exactly.
That's where it comes from.
I mean, the SRO officer, I want to double down on what Rick said. The gentleman we had here, sometimes could be the impression of, the sheriff says, hey, you go up and watch the door at the high school. But it is much deeper than that, and the qualifications, and it's just like Sergeant Dotson told me, hey, if you're assigned to a car and there's a bank robbery, you go in the bank. You either make the determination you're going to go in or don't do the job. But I was impressed. I want to say that also.
Yeah.
I was impressed with that.
You just wonder sometimes how they make the leap, how people in the U.S. make the leap from a tragedy like this and all of the minutia information, but then the first reaction is, well, let's make the gun age 21. I mean, it's like, I can't even come up with a good analogy right now. There's so many.
Well, the solution, and I say that facetiously, the solution is raise the age, background checks, and eliminate assault rifles or weapons.
Penalize the honest people.
That is the solution that the media is trying to sell, and politicians are trying to sell, when that's the furthest thing from the solution.
But what are they going to do with all the assault rifles, generally speaking, that are out there? They're not going to take them away from people.
They have them piled up.
So they're not going to sell any new ones? Is that the thinking?
Well,
they don't know.
Because then it just creates a huge hot market in
convoluted.
Gun
the
sales
whole thing is
below the surface.
Totally convoluted.
It's going to be a total hot market.
I'm for background checks. I'm for sure.
I know
but the
that.
thing is, that's convoluted. Does that mean in the first grade we start checking out to see when they get 21? Do we think he might be? I mean, it can be a witch hunt. It's just convoluted, and we have a big issue. I'd like to make one more. What do you call this area? Never happened here, right?
That never could happen here. We live in, I call it that we can never,
go
ahead.
The thing is that I think that could breed complacency. I wish you might think about changing it to it will not happen here. Because you don't want to breed complacent. Oh, it'll never happen here. Go about your own business. Think about it. You weren't meaning it in that way. But
no, I'm meaning it like when...
It will not happen here is a pretty good motto.
When
That's going to be mine anyway.
I think he's got a different meaning.
Yeah, he does have a different meaning.
But 20 years ago, right here where we're sitting, 20 years ago, okay, we would have never thought about 4 individuals in a high-speed chase down 515, pull in a drugstore and shoot at.
My point
shoot
exactly.
at.
Times have changed.
And when you interview the people, and I call them the satellite trucks run up here, and they interview people, there's always well, we just never thought it would happen here, or or we're up here at the store up here. I'm not going to mention names, and somebody is taking their bank deposit out of the store, and they get robbed into the bank deposit. Well, that's what I call it, the never happen here zone that we need to. But going back,
we're perceived sometimes in North Georgia
I agree with what you're saying.
A soft target.
We're
perceived by some
we're so
as a
complacent.
soft target.
Oh, we're up here in the mountains.
That's what makes me nervous. Let me say on the background checks. Okay, let's go into this. One of my favorite governors is Bevin of Kentucky. Okay, because at the governor's meeting last week with the president, he's basically the only one that stood up and said, hey, let's talk about the culture of morality and the evil of this. Let's talk about the culture of what's going on. And I really like Governor Bevin of Kentucky, because you said you're for background checks. I am with you. But the background check would have caught this individual, they keep saying. But the system did not enter the information. So what good is it?
It's only as good as the information.
Right. It's the chain and the weakest link thing, and it's just such a big issue that I think we're in an uphill battle. And then if the powers that be, Broward County is Deborah Wasserman Schultz. There is corruptness there beyond belief. So, you have to deal with that. We don't really have that here, but we're going to have other issues. Just like when the superintendents said, we have to have hands off if this child says I have ADD. We cannot do one thing with them, really, as far as a legality standpoint. So, there you go. It's just very complicated.
My question to Dr. Wilkes Wednesday, she's superintendent of schools of Gilmer County. My question to Dr. Wilkes is exactly, I think it's not 74 or whatever, the disabilities, educating our children in 74, 76 or something like that. But the word accommodate is in the law.
Yeah.
All right. And we've had judges since the 70s trying to disseminate where the word accountability fits in, or accommodate fits in, accommodate. And we heard if little Johnny, and I want to quote her, says he's going to burn the school down. I'm sorry to all little Johnnies out there. That was wrong, but I'm sorry. Okay. It says he's going to burn the school down, right? Mm-hmm. But he was acting out due to his disability.
Yes.
I mean, right here, we heard that, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, my concern is how the little guy,
Toad,
how that individual
I like Frog Bear.
got determined to have the disability. That makes me nervous.
Oh, I thought you were going to have Toad take a bat to little Johnny.
No, I'm that makes me. I know you've heard that over and over. You're tired of it, but the mental health
No, it makes me very nervous.
makes me
too.
nervous of who we're going to allow to make the determination that there is a disability.
Listen, I have a daughter who they said had ADD, ADHD, this and that and the other, and then finally when she was 25, she went through extensive tests. And we come to find out she doesn't have ADHD. She didn't have it the whole time. She has something else. The reason I'm bringing that personal thing is that whoever's testing, whoever's doing this, these psychologists and psychiatrists, I have to tell you, are making a subjective decision. They have their rules, they have their tests, they have their everything. But in the end, they can say what they're going to say, they can interpret what they want to interpret, and that is terrifying.
Weekly. Oh, go ahead, Bruce. No.
I think it gets back to science. You know, people are always talking about it's fact-based, it's science.
Psychiatry?
Yes. There's people that believe that. Say, are you going to believe a trained psychiatrist versus Rick? You know?
Well, that's the problem.
Yeah, but you know the
Rick or the psychiatrist.
The idea is they're coming from a science background. It's factual. They can step by step and show you all the things they assess on.
But
and
all
people,
that's
Americans have become obsessed with science and fact.
Do you know Pavlov kept his children in a cage, modifying their behavior? Did you know that? That's really scientific. Do you know that?
Pavlov's dog, right?
Yeah, Pavlov, that guy.
Same
but he
guy.
kept his kids in a cage to work on his theory of. Now, is that science? I mean, he could say that's scientific. I would say it's cruelty to children.
Right.
See, I mean, I'm just making the point.
No, I understand what you're saying, but again, I just think there's so much. People say, well, if it isn't fact-based, and there's not good science on this yet.
That's my point.
But that's what they default to. These kids need accommodation.
But if I want to know H2O, what that is, it's 1 part hydrogen, it's one of those. It's 2 points one of those and 1 point one of those, right? That's science. Psychiatry, even though they say I gave them this test and that test, they say it's science. That's my problem where it's real, and you're making that exact point. Oh, this psychiatrist said Freud. I won't even tell you what Freud did. He had unnatural relations with his children.
Excuse me.
Check,
Whoa.
please.
Well, I'm just saying these guys.
Yes, please, more water.
That's right.
Okay, Freud, chill.
Sigmund.
Easy.
Well, I guess I made my point.
Yes, you did.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Now, I want to say this.
Good job.
On a
Unnatural relations.
Oh, that was a pretty good way to.
I just got a Delta internal memorandum that I'm going to read.
They don't give you your discount because you're NRA.
No, this
official.
is
Oh, yeah,
top,
we didn't talk
this
about
is
that,
top
did we?
secret information. Okay, I
They're
just got a
secret.
Delta. We'll do that.
They're
in
moving
the
to
break.
Baltimore?
Okay, wait a minute. No, stop. Do not make me
Come over there.
No, I was going to tell you, all this ADD and HDAD and all this stuff, and you see your daughter,
She has a lot of stuff, but that isn't one.
I see somebody weekly for mine. I really do. I sit down weekly, and I have somebody that works with me with
Excellent.
he just left, Dr. Whaley. I have to pay. I have
We gotta do something to pay
I
for
have
this
to
time.
focus to pay attention to his answers. That was my setup. I have a weekly.
Honey, I have to live with that guy. My brain is tired.
Do you believe
And then he
Dr.
looks at me.
Wheeler or Rick?
He looks at me and asks me if I'm paying attention. And it's really funny. Then he'll look over. Sam, Amanda, are you listening? So we all get
anything to get away from a copay.
Yeah, we all get our Friday morning. We're going to take a brief break. We're going to change this up a little bit. We're going to talk about some other things going on, like maybe the Oakland mayor tipping off the bad guys that the
Libby.
I don't even know where to go. The chaos in the White House. They've gone back to Russia this week. That is the code word. Let's go back to Russia. And you would think the biggest concern we have in this country is that Jared Kushner is loose out there without proper security clearance. Oh, right?
Please.
All right, don't worry. We'll be back. Right after these messages, All-Star Panel.
Ace is your helpful place for paint and home goods, tools, outdoor living, and lawn equipment. But did you know Ace Hardware of Blue Ridge is a little bit more? We have hunting rifles and accessories for your next hunting trip. We have Amish furniture imported directly from Ohio. And we have Ace Custom Woodworks for all your custom wood project needs, from cabinets to artwork. Ace Hardware of Blue Ridge. We have your new house in stock.
North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds. Come on in to view the area's largest selection of fine jewelry at North Georgia Diamond. All repairs and designs are done on site by our jewelers. And North Georgia Diamond has the lowest prices on loose diamonds. You can also sell your gold, silver, and coins at North Georgia Diamond between Walmart and Lowe's in East Ellijay. Locally owned by Bill and Allison Craig, North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds in North Georgia.
In 1981, Reed Nicholson began selling tires out of an old barn in Mineral Bluff. Little did he know that he had just laid the groundwork for the most trusted names in automotive services in the Blue Ridge area. In 1997, Nicholson Tire Center became what it is today, holding the same values of faith, family, and great customer service. 2 locations to serve you, and the Blue Ridge location is currently expanding to offer fast service and the largest U-Haul provider in Georgia. Nicholson Tire Center, Blue Ridge, and Mineral Bluff.
Medium Pizza Hut pizzas, just $5.99 each.
Did they say Pizza Hut?
For $5.99?
Yes, and yes.
Yes! Introducing the deal you want on the pizza you crave. 2 medium pizzas, just $5.99 each. No one out pizzas the hot.
Hi, I'm Rhonda the Mattress Lady, and this is my husband Gary, owners of Mattress Overstocked in Ellijay next to Walmart. And we want to earn your business. From the time you walk in our door to the time we deliver your new mattress to your door, you will see the difference. Our selection and prices are the best in North Georgia, and customer service is our top priority. So y'all come on in and let us help you find the right mattress at the right price. That's Mattress Overstocked in Ellijay next to Walmart.
Had the time of my life. I never felt like this before. I swear it's the truth, and I owe it all to you. I'll tell you something. This could be love, because I've had the time of my life. I've never felt like this before.
Folks, I'm your host, BKP. Good morning from beautiful downtown Blue Ridge, Circuit World, and we're back with our all-star panel. Before this break, I received from an unknown source. Actually, I know the source. That'd be a lie. All right?
White
A known
lie. That's
source.
a white lie.
A known source.
A known source that shall not be named.
Thank you, Rick. From Ed Bastian, I guess that's his name,
just
from
named
Delta.
him. Oh, no.
CEO Delta.
I asked you when we came back to try to keep yourselves together to let me finish this.
You
did
did
I not?
do that.
I did nicely, right?
You did. You
Okay.
did.
I did the guy.
Delta, I'm not. I love them all, but I want to get through this. Delta Airlines, we know this. This is an internal memo that went worldwide to all Delta staff. I cannot tell you how I obtained this memo, but it's from Ed Bastain of Delta Airlines concerning Delta and the school safety debate. Now, Delta is looking into, this is the comment, of ending all travel discounts for any political groups. They're looking into ending all. Because what a lot of people misunderstood with Lieutenant Governor, myself, Casey Cagle, what happened last week with the NRA and pushing back on the jet fuel tax exemption that is gone. Delta did not receive in this legislative session here in Georgia that made national news. Lieutenant Governor Casey Cagle was saying, hey, you identified one group. That's our problem, and you singled out. It's a group discount. What Delta does, folks, what they do is they offer, if you are an NRA member, to the national convention, they offer you that national convention discount to fly Delta to an NRA convention, much like any other. So Delta has released a statement that they are looking at ending all politically related discounts for anyone. Delta also is this comment, while Delta intent was to remain neutral, some elected officials in Georgia tied our decision to a pending jet fuel exemption, threatening to eliminate it unless we reverse course. Our decision was not made for economic gain, and our values are not for sale. All right? They go on to say, Delta goes on to say, none of this changes the fact, because I think all of you know that immediately when Lieutenant Governor Casey Cagle, and this is breaking news this morning, sent his tweet out, New York said, hey, we're open for business. The governor said, come to New York, so on and so forth. Delta is answering that question here. None of this changes the fact that our home is in Atlanta, so they're not going anywhere, and we are proud and honored to locate our headquarters here. We are supporters of the Second Amendment, just as we embrace the entire Constitution of the United States. So there's a lot more in the memo, but to answer the question, Delta's not looking to leave Atlanta, and they are looking to end all discounts for anything.
I'm assuming that the PR department at Delta Airlines was in full scramble mode this week.
Well, this is dated March 2nd. This just came out this morning.
Yeah,
You know what the irony of all ironies is on this? The fact that they're discontinuing any discounts for political entities is in itself political. I mean, give
Well,
me
you throwing the one out
break.
was discrimination.
But you
Give me
understood,
a break.
you understood what Lieutenant Governor Casey Cagle did in his comments, was saying, hey, I'm not saying you have to like the NRA, but you just can't single out this group of people and determine they're not worthy of the discount.
They're the bad guys.
Right.
But if you think of the business model, I mean, why are these airlines and car companies and everybody else doing this in the first place?
I don't get it.
Why not just lower rates for everybody and say, have at it?
Well, here's the thing, and I will say this. I used to be a member with a business in the past of an association that we had a national membership, and we had a card. And yes, hotels, we had discount, okay? When we would fly twice a year to the annual association biannual meetings, we got a discount on airline, we got a discount on rental. Oh, you're with so-and-so group, so we got group discounts. Well, we are not a political group, but we did get the group discounts. You know
So
what
it's sort
I'm
of a loyalty thing.
Right. So we
Yeah.
got so we had somebody made a deal. That's done every day. AARP is done every day. Okay.
Hey.
I know I didn't mean to upset you, but you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, Planned Parenthood had a discount with Delta.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. So,
What
I mean,
Casey
all the-
Cagle-
Oh, so they kept. Oh dear.
So all the 501c3s, you think? I mean, all the nonprofits and all that. You know, they.
Well, my understanding is what my understanding is from Lieutenant Governor Casey Cagle, which I followed all the way through very thoroughly. And by the way, we're scheduling him to be on the show Monday. He was actually saying you're just not going to take this group of great Georgians that in this association and single them out
Discriminating.
and then expect these same people to afford you back a discount on your jet fuel. It's just not going to happen.
You know, I was talking with Bill about the fuel issue and the tax, and what he said 3 or 4 days ago, that his understanding was that when the airlines were having a problem, remember they were trying to make money. I can't remember. They were not making as much money. Then they gave them
When fuel prices were so
fuel
high.
prices were high. They gave them a break. Now Delta is in the
Fuel prices were high,
black, and they don't need to give them that break anymore. They need to pay their taxes
they
like
let them put a surcharge on it.
everybody else, right? So it initially he didn't think the NRA thing is why the taxes are going away. It was because now they're making plenty of money and they don't need the break. But now it's gotten into a huge.
And that fuel tax surcharge
Huge
probably
issue.
still buried in our airline ticket fee.
Oh, yeah.
Well, here's the one thing. You know,
Another bag
they did rescind it. Delta had this at one time because some people get the 2 hours, and I like Fox and Friends and Brian Kilmeade and and Ducey and Edie Hill. Oh, that was 20 years ago, right?
Yeah, it sure was.
Edie, oh my word!
All right. Sorry,
I liked her.
I did too. All right, but the 2-minute segments that they
Like
blew
who
up,
picks?
that Delta, and NRA and Georgia lawmakers, the truth is, back when the recession hit, Delta, and I think our president at that time said, "How dare you fly to Vegas?" Right? Remember? Right?
Absolutely.
So, how dare you fly to Vegas? And so we were like, and there were some things that happened and then the airline industry, look at the airline industry that took a hit after 9/11. I mean, how many years before some people would fly again?
Tricky.
All of that piled together, Delta was extended this exemption several years ago. Then they rescinded it. This is a give back. You're with me, right? Mm-hmm. So a lot of people miss that. This would be a give back of that jet fuel tax exemption. Now, what Fox did not do, and MSNBC or nobody, this is a jet fuel tax exemption. We have Robert Ingalls flies here. Okay.
Thought he died.
Their jet, well, to see the stores and stuff.
Yeah, I thought he
visits the
died. Is
stores.
that his son?
Yeah, must be.
The big guy
All right.
died.
But they fly here, and when their jet comes into whether it be Blairsville or Gilmer, and fuels up, that jet fuel tax exemption applies to them. So it's getting labeled Delta.
Oh, really?
But it's anywhere in the state of Georgia. Any airport in the state of Georgia.
I did not know that.
I didn't know that either.
Oh yeah. This jet fuel exemption is anywhere. It's just like, for example, Union has an aviation fuel tank, which I'm not a pilot, but you understand gas, I guess, but it's aviation fuel.
Avgas.
All right.
Avgas, not
Right.
jet fuel.
No, they have both tanks.
Oh,
they have avgas for the
Retips.
right,
And then Jet A for the turbines.
and then they have Jet A.
Yeah.
If you were to purchase, if this went through, if you were to purchase Jet A fuel in Union County, Gilmer County, Pickens County Airport for your private jet, you would have that tax exemption also. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But it was Delta, So anyhow,
So it's gone. Nobody gets it.
nobody gets it.
Okay. Let's be clear.
Nobody gets it.
Okay, good.
But the devils are in the devil's in the detail. Delta will get a tax break.
Somehow,
see.
somewhere.
Yes. When I say the airlines will get their jet fuel tax exemption, they may not get all 7 cents or whatever it is, but they'll probably get 3 to 4 cents of it.
Is that promoted through the governor's office?
Oh yeah, the governor, my understanding, Governor Nathan Deal, from a source inside the Senate meeting this past week, Senate meeting this past week inside, because now you got to understand the House of Representatives of the state of Georgia passed the entire bill, sent it over to the Senate. The Senate is the one, the Georgia State Senate is the one which Lieutenant Governor Casey Cagle presides over, that stripped the tax exemption out and sent it back to the House. So the House passed it yesterday with it stripped out, but the Senate is who's responsible. Sources tell me that the Senate met early in the week after this blew up, and Governor Deal came in there and wasn't very happy about it. We'll leave it at that. And Governor Deal still supports that for Delta or the jet fuel tax exemption.
Well, speaking of fuel and taxes, there's been a lot of talk about increasing the gas tax across the country.
National gas tax.
Yeah, for
infrastructure
and all that. I mean, what's your feeling on that? Do you think that's a good thing to do?
Not until here's the camp I'm in. Don't take another damn penny from me for a damn thing. That's the camp I'm in. Period. Because you've yet to prove that you'd be good stewards of the first damn penny you got. I'm sorry I said that.
That's good.
Sorry.
That's all right.
I understand.
I can handle
And that's my problem. Until anybody, you know as well as sitting here that I support the President of the United States. So if Donald Trump comes out and says he wants another 32 cents on a gallon that I got to put in my car to run my small business, and he wants me to believe, even Donald Trump, that by the time that 32 cents gets filtered down and the crooks and the thieves and the lowlifes get their portion, and then I'm going to get a highway or bridge.
I guess we'll have a whole nother show on the crooks, the thieves, and the...
Let's do.
You do understand. Bruce asked me what my thought was on that, so that's not my fault.
You know where Jane's going to go? Jane's going to go, I understand what you mean. Remember that grant that they gave the people?
That's what I'm going to say.
I know you were.
To look at the blinking shrimp walking on a treadmill. I mean,
This is our official shrimp treadmill segment brought to you by Jane.
There are websites out there you can see
I
what
agree.
they are, who voted for them. They ought to go. I mean, until they stop that and they want to tax us.
Exactly.
And then there are people who, listen, I participated in a poverty groups learning about how it is very difficult for people in poverty just to get to work, to get food, to have child care.
You participated?
I participated.
Must have been a stretch.
I was on the end. This is really going somewhere. So, I can pay the extra tax. Thank the Lord for that. However, there are people who can't even buy tax the way it is. And the idea that they're paying people to watch a shrimp, and it goes on and on and on, and then having these people, giving them more of a hardship on many things, that's what keeps me up at night. I'm seething about it. And I don't guess we can do anything about it.
So staying with the damn penny philosophy, I mean, you would be happy with damn penny if they started saving it, if they started working on the expense side of the house. Save some damn pennies there.
I'm a believer that we have enough money to. All right, here's what I do. I believe our infrastructure is crumbling.
It is.
It's terrible. I believe we're at the state, when I was a kid in the 70s, we watched on TV how the Soviet Union was crumbling, how their parks were not maintained, how their roads were not maintained, how the Soviet Union the infrastructure was crumbling. And actually, I hate to say it, but that's kind of what we look like today, of our infrastructure crumbling, the side barricades on bridges that are broken off. Okay, now, the three of you have traveled extensively around the world, to China and in Germany and so many different trips, and I understand that. I have not. But the three of you actually have come back individually and told me stories about these other countries and trains and highways and bridges and tunnels. And I do agree our infrastructure has crumbled across the country, but I do not believe we don't have the money now to fix it. I don't believe you have to give me take another penny.
It's getting funneled.
I think we actually can.
Other places.
I think
So
we
the allocation is the problem, not the lack of.
Well, it's not just the allocation. What are we doing? Is it 23 or 32 cents of 23 or 16? What is it? A federal gas tax now for infrastructure?
I think it's 18.
Right. 18
But
cents.
then the states layer it on. And
layered on, but no, this is the Fed and then the state.
Yeah, then the states.
All right,
Yeah,
the
right.
Fed and the states.
Yeah.
All right, I don't know. I haven't done it in years, but how much does it cost to cross the GW Bridge?
Oh.
Okay, remember what
Probably
tolls? Remember
over
what tolls-
$3 one way.
Yeah, but you remember the Interstate Commerce Commission, right? And that's where we got the interstates. Eisenhower created it, right? Eisenhower created the first interstate. What is the first interstate? Sorry, Interstate 76 runs through Pennsylvania Turnpike.
I knew that.
First one, okay. I just didn't want to give you time because I
was
want
gonna
to
say
prove I knew it.
66.
No, that's Route 60.
60.
That's
I
where
know.
you got your kicks. Okay, let's stay with the interstate. So anyhow, the Interstate Commerce Commission is and when it was created, Eisenhower created it. Test. Every 10 miles has to be what? Within every 10 miles has to be what? Name it. Name it.
A service station.
Name it.
Every 10 miles?
Within every 10 miles of interstate highway, the original creation of interstate highway has to be what?
Gosh, not an exit. An exit.
1 mile has to be straight to land a plane. Because Eisenhower created it not for the
That
great
is
exit
interesting.
today
That's really-
to get Cheetos and spend the night and get gas. Eisenhower created the Interstate Commerce Commission to cross the country with military equipment that we needed to have. Within
that.
every 10 miles, 1 mile. Look it up.
That's interesting.
Look it up. Had to be straight in case we had to land aircraft on the interstate.
I'm still
Speaking of-
hung up on the Cheetos and gas.
Yeah, I'm hungry too.
All of a sudden I'm hungry.
Now the thing is that they
Is it
got a new
petrol
toll
or the
road.
Cheetos cause gas?
So wait a minute. No, I'm not done. So the 16 cents, you got me worked up. You're just going to deal with
18.
it. 18 cents. It's federal gas tax money now. Okay? What was the deal on tolls? Now, I don't know in Georgia, I don't know where you're at today, but one of the great reasons I'm in Georgia since 1999 is I got tired of the damn toll booth, okay? Damn toll booth going across the Verrazano Bridge, damn toll booth going through the Holland Tunnel, damn toll booth on the Delaware Turnpike, damn toll booth. I'm sorry, I didn't mean that many damn toll booths.
You should
But
go- you
what
should-
was the deal?
You should go to Illinois.
Is that my
There's
cue?
nothing but
So-
tolls.
New
Okay.
Jersey and New
All right.
Jersey.
So
Aye.
anyhow,
Aye,
what was the
aye.
deal on tolls? What were we lied about? Well, we will put the toll booths in place until
It's paid off.
Paid off.
Till it's paid for.
Well,
Luckily,
40
400.
Yeah, 400 did, but
400, we did that.
we did that.
Yeah, but they're still now the GW Bridge. They have to maintain it. They got to maintain it.
Well, you know, you do. The thing
It's
is
an aging
that
structure.
I'm not sure it's true, but they have a new road between Atlanta and coming up to Blue Ridge, right? A toll road.
Right.
It hasn't opened yet, and
Oh, just a little piece of
But-
575.
yeah, but
You'll pay
I
extra if
drive
you
it-
would like to
Do
get
you know
there
how
faster?
much Bill said?
Yeah,
He
that's
calculated
Peach Pass.
it could be like $30. $30 if I want to bypass all that traffic for one. That's outrageous.
Look,
I'm not sure that
I
You got to make a
because
flight. Maybe someone will
at
pay it.
different. Yeah,
I am
but
so
gee
happy.
whiz.
Let me tell you something, okay? All right, call me whatever you want, all right?
Okay.
But
Toad.
no, I didn't say okay.
Toad.
Toad.
I am so happy that I live somewhere today that this little purple sensor is not on the dash of my vehicle, so I could go through the Easy Pass lane 12 times a day.
There you go.
Okay.
Go to Florida. Go around Orlando and all that.
understand.
There's a bunch of them
Everywhere.
there. There's a
Texas
bunch.
has that too.
And
Texas.
Illinois.
Well, I do have to say this. So we used to cross the Delaware from New Jersey to Pennsylvania, right? Rick, all right, George, all right. We used to cross the Delaware. Okay, you're funny. You're funny. You're a funny guy. You know, funny guy over here. Real funny guy. Funny like ha-ha funny. It's like Goodfellas, don't they, you know? Well, you think I'm ha-ha
Yeah,
funny?
you think I'm
What
ha-ha funny or you think I'm funny?
You think I'm funny or ha-ha funny, Rick? So anyhow, sorry, Jane. Anyhow, so here's what we used to do, right? So, you know, you got to throw the token. This is before Easy Pass, back in the days, in the bucket, right? So we got a token. So you had to buy a sleeve of tokens. I rode around with an ashtray back in the days. For you kids out there, automobiles came with an ashtray. So you rode around with an ashtray. Okay, you rode around in the ashtray with a sleeve of tokens. You had to have tokens. You had to throw it in there, you know, get the green light, take off. So anyhow, what we would do, how many of you have done this, right?
We used money in Illinois. We didn't do tokens.
You bought a sleeve of tokens.
No, you had to
Rich
throw money in it.
Yeah, but it costed more. You got a discount if you got a whole sleeve of tokens.
Impossible in Illinois. You had to throw cash.
This is not an argument story.
Hey,
Okay.
I mean,
tell you what we did.
So anyhow, here's what the deal was, right? So what we would do is we would see if we could do the hook shot. We have the passengers.
Passenger?
Yeah.
Out the window?
Yeah. Oh, God, we do the hook shot, you know? So we're coming home from work, or you go, and you got to go real fast, right? You got to go real
Because
fast.
there's
right?
irate people behind
And
you.
if you miss,
So he's like, okay, you know, we're worked all day, so your buddy next to you, you know, does the hook shot, see if they get in the bucket, and then it clings on a sidewalk, and you take off, and the light's still red, and the buzzer goes off.
Just saying.
you were a mess. You were a mess.
A lot of
Word,
misspent
yeah, word
time
is the
with
operative
that
word
boy.
here.
I think he's still a mess.
Yeah.
Did you remember those little guns they had? You could get spring-loaded guns that would shoot the coins for you.
How did this get off the rails? I mean,
Infrastructure.
You read the Delta Memorandum.
it's Bruce's
Infrastructure.
I did ask about
You know
fuel
what?
taxes.
Yeah.
You know what? Let me just say
Go
this.
back to the Cheetos and gas.
I hope it plays well out there, because I want to say something very sincere. Wednesday, this group here did an outstanding job participating in what we did Wednesday and staying with a very serious subject. But if this plays like we're friends and we're having fun, that's the way it's supposed to play out there. We have so much fun, and nothing better than laughing on Friday morning. So what do you think? I'm ha-ha funny, or what kind of funny you think I am?
You qualify for both.
Okay, I'm sorry to say we've come down to Bruce. What's in the folder this morning? What have you? What do you have in the folder?
I don't really have too much today. I have one loser of the week to end. I mean, if I can do that.
You can, it's your.
Are we at the end?
We're close.
This is the end.
We have extra time, but I wanted to do it now.
Reminds me of a joke.
No sports segment?
I want no. We
sports
have extra
segment.
time today. I wanted to do it now, so if we talked about it a minute, there wasn't that pressure.
There you go. We don't have to rush.
Go ahead.
these
Well,
things.
another symptom of our culture just going down the toilet. There was a fashion show recently, and there was
In Australia, does it go backwards?
Yeah, I think it does.
All right, I'm sorry. I mean, you throw out toilet with a bunch of sixth graders.
That's right.
turlet.
With the exception of the
Going
chain.
down the turlet.
Okay, go ahead.
Anyway,
Just forget I'm here. I said, okay.
this fashion show was an Italian designer, Alessandro Michele. Okay.
Alessandro.
Yeah. So he had this and he had very weird, high-end fashion stuff. But he had the models go down the aisle carrying severed heads of themselves.
No,
Yes. And they were pretty good copies, actually.
that is just sick.
And it supposedly was all in the artistic
Yeah, right.
description of how he took pieces of fabric and cloth and disassembled them and put them into something that was beautiful. But, I mean, it was the stupidest thing you ever saw.
Don't leave us with that. Please tell me you got something
Loser of
else.
the
Please don't leave.
Anyone who
Please
saw
tell
that.
me you didn't bring me all the way here.
Come on, Bruce. Tell me there's something else in the folder.
Really?
To shock and awe.
To show how you could take, fabrics and things like that and
That's
put
his
it back
story.
together. You
He's
could start with
sticking to
something,
it.
very basic and build something that had meaning.
That's his story.
And
It
I don't
was
know
shock.
why they carried their heads, but they did.
He needs to visit Father Guido Sarducci.
He needs to go one of those psychiatrists.
Just symptomatic of,
Talking.
you probably had ADHD as a kid.
Probably.
He's still on drugs. I don't know.
Probably.
I know where he can get some therapy on Friday mornings. You have
Remember
to pay
Sister
attention.
Victoria? She made me stand in
Okay,
the corner
Rick,
so many
Rick,
times.
pay
Anyway.
attention. Rick,
Sister
pay
Justice.
Yeah, Sister Justice, yeah. Oh, we had some brutal nuns. Anyway, we did. I mean, we could go through grade by grade.
people don't
And you're
know
talking
that.
about
People
me.
don't know.
You're talking about me.
I know.
Let me tell you something. He knows what a ruler truly is.
Woo!
Yeah,
Oh, boy.
yeah.
The knuckles.
That people don't know that happened in Catholic schools.
Oh,
they
boy.
kind of know now, but they didn't used to know. They thought it was all peaches and.
Well, we're talking about the kids and everything, and I know what you're
Talking about
getting ready to do.
abuse.
We're talking about the kids and everything, but, paddling in school? I mean, I understood it.
from a personal point of view.
No,
Boy, that's going to leave a mark.
Our assistant principal
knows you well, all your anatomy.
Okay, this is true story.
I do have another.
Always forget it. Listen, this is a true story. This is a true story.
Oh, here we go.
Now, anytime somebody tells you it's a true story, means they would tell you something that's not true, and that would be me. I'll do that if I have to sometimes. But this is a true story. So, in the 7th grade, his name is Mr. Snodgrass. True story. Mr. Snodgrass has the big mustache. I swear to God. Look, I swear to God. He's got the big he's the assistant principal. So he got sent to Mr. Snodgrass. So didn't talk a lot. Okay? Had the paddle hanging up with holes drilled in it, so there would be no wind resistance when he came down.
Get a better swing.
Exactly. So you knew, for some, I don't know, I heard stories that this is how it worked. So when you went there, there's a chair turned this way. He's turned this way, his desk. Goes like this twice. Top drawer are these forms in triplicate. You're white, you're pink, and you're yellow. Okay?
Carbon copies.
Yes, exactly. Okay? So he pulls the top drawer out real slow. You're sitting there.
Torture.
Now,
That's torture.
Now, here's the thing that you're most concerned about. There was 3 boxes to check. And then there was a written area. If you started going in the written area, you could just go like that because you were going to get written up. But the 3 boxes was 1, 2, or 3. Okay? And you watch really close to see if he hit box 1, box 2, or 3. Because that's how many strikes you were getting.
Yeah, that's how many whacks you were getting.
That's how many whacks.
Yeah, so you looked over on the desk and your nerves are shot. Now, if he started right in there, he never talked to you.
That means no.
Start right there. You were not going to get a whack. He was going to write you. All right. But if he went for the boxes,
the procedure very well.
He went for the boxes. I hear this is how it worked. If he went for the boxes, right? So you go, and then he had the paddle, and then the chair you're sitting in, you just stood up, turned around, and grabbed the handles. I hear that's how it worked. And he never had air drag. I mean, he had them whole. I mean, there was nothing. And you,
bam, bam, bam,
right?
You know what?
So I'm not finished. I will be in just a second. So, and then a copy. There's actually a point here. A copy you were to take home to your mom and dad, which I can't remember.
Never got home.
All right,
sign it.
Which is my next point. Go ahead.
The second copy stayed in his office. The third went on your permanent record in the 7th grade. Now, here's my concern. Seriously. Here's my concern.
It's too late to be concerned.
Finally.
No, here's my concern. We don't paddle anymore, which is fine, but that permanent record in school.
It's important.
Is it really? Is it always going to be important?
Well, I don't know, but I'll tell you. I mean, it was a deterrent for me. I mean, I'm a girl.
No, I'm nervous about the mental health and these reports going on permanent record and turning over 21. Rick, what do you have to finish up? And please do not
go on your permanent record.
Do not inspire me to tell a story. Go ahead, Rick.
I got a pet peeve.
What's your pet?
That's really easy to me.
We're talking about infrastructure, and the airports are crumbling, the roads are crumbling, the bridges are crumbling. If you've ever been to Atlanta Hartsfield recently, they've got this monstrosity spider web cage that they're putting above the drive-through lanes.
The drop-off, arrivals and departures.
Absolutely no purpose.
Wasting.
No
Aesthetic,
purpose
right?
whatsoever. Aesthetically pleasing.
Give
The
me
money that they must spend, the cranes that they've got out there, the traffic controls, to put this monstrosity over the front of the airport that serves virtually no purpose.
And it's not going to really help with arrivals and departures.
It does nothing.
Yes.
That's my pet peeve. Why do
Happens
we do
everywhere.
this stuff?
Following on
Back
pets.
to your point about the allocation of the funds. Where did those funds come from, and couldn't they be put to better use?
What you need to look at is who built it. Is it friends? Is he friends with the?
What did I just say you when he said that?
If it's at the airport, I guarantee you that it wasn't donated.
Okay, come on. Okay,
Well, I
move
just
it
have
along.
one.
I have a
request.
pet peeve.
One
And let's not
request.
talk about your disciplinary forms in school.
Yeah, well,
your issue.
I know.
This show could go on your permanent record.
It could, and that's a problem. But here's what I want to do. I'm going to make one request of you. And I want you to
He's already
grant
got
it.
his haircut.
In the next month or two, I'd like to invite your mom on the show and have her tell just a few stories of the guy who called the guy Toad and how many pink slips she has stacked up in the attic in the trunk.
Your
Wouldn't
job,
that be-
Mr.
Jane,
Pritchard.
Should
Should
be
you
fun? Wouldn't that be fun?
No, that would not be
It
fun.
would be hysterically fun. And we opened up to questions. People call in.
I got your back, Brian.
No.
This would not be fun.
No. Live TV.
I got a better idea. Your job, Mr. Pritchard, should you decide to accept it, is to find Toad and get him on the show.
That would be more
and
fun.
apologize.
Hey, Toad and Corky and Zadie.
My
all the
nickname was
boys.
Stinky.
What?
I have an uplifting end, okay, and this ties to Rick and Pat a little bit. You're the Fannin County Humane Society president, correct?
Something like that.
California, starting next year, is not going to allow any pet stores to sell new puppies. They can only sell rescue animals.
You can't. That's a good thing in one sense, but you can't. You can't do that.
They've outlawed new pets. You can only
Yep.
buy a used pet.
Yeah.
Folks,
I mean, is that
as
good or
you
bad?
can see, Friday, my hashtag anything goes, it really applies to
It went.
Friday.
It went today, right?
Yes.
Anything goes, and it went.
It went.
Hey, Rush can do it.
We got used
open line
puppies and
Friday.
severed heads. Hey.
Yeah, puppies
Okay.
and severed heads.
Folks,
Not in the
before-
same sentence, please.
Before we close, Bruce, I always think of like what is my closer, because I like to come up with a pretty strong closing statement. It is sometimes somebody on a panel says something that changes my direction and what I want to close with. But we do hear this week different things, and we've heard 32 cents, 23 cents for infrastructure. Now, I have asked this of state senators, I've asked this of state representatives, I've asked this from many people, all right? And I never get a straight answer, obviously, because they're politicians first and foremost. I'm sorry, I apologize to some of them that are my friends. But if I go over to this pharmacy over here across the street, or if I go back here at this counter and I purchase something, the receipt will have all of the tax on the receipt. You will go into the grocery store and you will get your groceries, and when they spit out that receipt this long, it'll be subtotaled and you will see the tax. What is the only thing, maybe something else, but the only thing that when you get the receipt, you just get the total? And that is your fuel. And it's always angered me that the receipt does not come out, okay, with your taxes. Because if you actually knew what you gave the state, and if you actually knew every time you pumped a gallon of gas that 18 cents went to the federal government, you might not be happy. So I've always asked, why can we not have a gas receipt that breaks down, that says, hey, you know what? You only paid $1.89 for gas, but by the time they added this, this, and this, your gas is now $2.39. Because the American people, I don't think, would stand for it. So I want to know why we can't get a gas receipt that breaks down the taxation. And I'm going to tell you, Mr. Trump, I don't know if this ever gets to you. But don't ask me for another damn penny. I don't care who you are, and you know I support you, Mr. President. But don't ask me for another damn penny till you get me a receipt that shows me for where my pennies go to begin with. And that's my pet
Have
peeve.
you looked at your phone bill lately? Do you see all those
Yeah.
taxes on your
Oh,
phone
yeah.
bill?
Yeah.
It's like 6 or 7 lines.
Oh, by the way, we didn't get around to it, but we have forgotten who the bad guy is. And
Yeah?
it doesn't always have to be the bad guy, but the bad guy, because the mayor in Oakland,
bad girl.
The mayor in Oakland let the illegals know the good guys,
were coming.
which are now considered the bad guys, were coming.
Well, they've never been considered good guys in California.
Yes, but she said that it was her job to promote safety of her citizens.
Her duty.
Or her duty, right?
Did anybody else see that California just got ranked as the worst state in the union?
Quality of life.
For quality of life?
Wow.
Yeah.
Are they still trying to have a big part of it
They have-
secede?
Oh, yeah,
Is
that comes
still
and goes.
big?
That's all the
You
time.
think that has any?
No,
any
but
ground?
55,000 homeless in Anaheim County.
Oh, San Francisco.
You know
they
that the
say, is
people that are
picking up.
working at Disneyland, they have a huge homeless population because they don't make enough money to afford a home in California.
Outrageous.
That contributed to that survey.
That's in Anaheim, California?
They are in Anaheim. Yes, they are.
Outrageous.
Anyway,
Okay, all right.
do we have pet of the week this
Do you
week?
have a concern?
Kind of.
Do you have a
Oh, I got
concern
you.
that
Yeah.
I have a lot of disciplinary forms?
I think it would be a comedy show. I mean, I just think it'd be funny as heck.
I like
mean,
the
to
fact
have
that
your
the
mom
panel
tell
had
a few
holes.
stories.
Yeah, we could get
there wasn't any
bring in
windows
some
this week.
implements of the trade.
Yeah, you know what? A friend of mine did for another friend of mine a wonderful thing on her 50th birthday. She went to my friend's hometown.
You're 50?
Go ahead.
I am. She went to her hometown for our friend, and she interviewed her old teachers, her minister, her friends, and made a video and showed it, and it was hysterical. These people talk. It was just so.
I think
much
we could
fun.
find Miss Trad.
Yeah, okay.
Livonia.
Where I
Nor
grew up,
Bethel.
where I
I'm going to do
where
this for
where I
Brian.
grew
He's
up,
dead.
I don't think you could find the old truant officer.
Snodgrass.
That was the original resource officer, right?
You know, I tell you
You're
what,
truant this week, Pritchard.
Pritchard, I bet you were. a
is there
piece of
such
work.
thing as a truant officer?
Sure,
Piece
there
of
was.
work.
There was.
They're renamed. Everything's renamed.
Yeah, everything's renamed.
Folks, we are going to play. We want to always, we never leave. We're not able to have our pet of the week on the set from the Humane Society of Blue Ridge, but we're going to close the day with a slideshow. And don't forget, our Humane Society, we have with us Rick as the president of Humane Society, but here, Humane Society of Blue Ridge. Don't forget, you can always find them, humanesocietyofblueridge.org, their Facebook page, Adopt a Pet Today, and we're going to close with a slideshow of some of the great pets out there that are available for adoption. So a shout out to the Humane Society, and we'll be back next week with a pet. I just couldn't take Yogi here one more week. I mean, Yogi, one more week. I got in trouble last week when I got home with my dogs. You didn't see that puppy last week, did you?
No.
Yes.
Oh,
Those
were you-
two
there
little
were two of them.
precious
Oh.
puppies. Did.
Oh gosh, I got a live Yogi still
feed.
available. Oh no. Pet of the week, Humane Society of Blue Ridge, and we're out. Thank you guys. We had a great week together, all of us.